Bull or bear? I'm rolling my Howard Ruff 1983 convention 1 ounce silver round, and she comes up a bear. Oh, hey, what's up, folks? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Got the live Manatee cam up at Homosassa Springs. Been there before, really beautiful place. Actually, I got it rolled back a couple minutes because this Manatee was rolling by. I said, you guys might like to see that. I think that's a couple mullet down there as well. And beautiful place if you've never been there. Not South Florida, I would say more Central Florida, but really maybe Northern Florida even. But very cool place, and there goes the big fella. I think that's just one right there. Oh, that might be two. And if you've never seen them, we call them sea cows in Florida, but they're huge, man. They're huge animals. Kind of cow looking. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. Anyways, great website. You can watch them live here. Let's just check and see if there's anything there live. No, no, there's the edgy one. Another one coming up there on the live cam. But anyway, another very relaxing cam to watch in the morning with a cup of coffee. And also one of the beautiful places in Florida to visit. All right, let's take a look at what's going on out there. My quote of the day, which is, of course, what's going on with the big mass or the media out there. Firing this guy, firing that guy. And basically the fact is manipulating the media is akin to poisoning nations' water supply. It affects all of our lives in unimaginable ways. This is absolutely true, folks. That's including, we've been talking about manipulation for quite some time, and this plays into what we're going to talk about with the gold and silver markets. We're going to go into a little something about graphs as well. People that read, the graph guys that talk about what the graphs may indicate or what's coming up next. But here, let's kind of finish up with a quote here. Manipulating media it really is poisoning the nation's water supply, and you can say the same thing about our markets. Once the cat's out of the bag that markets are manipulated, and I think a lot of people know it, they feel it, they just don't really want to believe it, and there's been no solid evidence. Well, let's not say no solid evidence. When the solid evidence is out there, you can't expect the media to deliver it to the people, because you know what? They can't handle the truth. That's the way they believe it, really. If Jack Nicholson could come to be a CNN, Fox, or a major media spokesperson, that's what he'd be screaming at the public in general. So with the government, you can't handle the truth. And maybe that's true, but no less, once you know you've been lied to, again, that's akin to poisoning the well, and that's exactly what we've seen going on. Boy, that's no doubt. I do like this cartoon here, kind of describes things well right now. But as I said, how does this tie into gold and silver markets? Because it also ties into our markets. If our markets are manipulated, and we find out that the marketplaces where the price discovery is made, the COMEX group, for the New York Stock Exchange. Once you start finding that these markets are rigged and they're moved around by big interest money or big money, and you know that the game is rigged. There's a small percentage of us out there that understand how gold and silver markets are rigged. There's probably a small percentage of people out there that understand the media is rigged, but a more growing percentage, and probably a larger percentage than those that understand that the markets are rigged, because they're starting to see it more and more watching television. People don't follow silver markets, but they do watch TV news. They do, everybody has their favorite flavor. And again, once that well has been poisoned, people are afraid to drink at it. People don't trust the media anymore, whether it's a left media or right media. People don't trust corporate media on both sides, on both extremes. They don't trust corporate media anymore, and that's because they poisoned the well. Well, the same thing is happening to our markets out there, especially with the silver market. The silver market, I would say, is probably one of the it is probably one of the smallest markets in the COMEX group. Really, it is. It's not a lot of money, and but no less, it's probably one of the most crooked out there because it is so small. It's so obvious and blatant how crooked that market is. And what does that have to do with poisoning the well? Well, once more than just you and I and a small percentage of people. There's a very small percentage of people who even invest in silver, much less watch it. But once a larger growing amount of people understand, well, hey, listen, this is done in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the CME Group. This is a small little market, and look how manipulated that is. Maybe our market's rigged too. There's a growing sentiment out there of people that are starting to understand that everything in their life is rigged, but we're still a small percentage of people out there. And we're going to get into that right now. What's happening in the markets in the last week or two is what Ted Butler describes as slicing the sausage. And we've discussed it as well many times on my videos, that these markets are sliced, they're kind of knocked down. When the manipulative forces, which would be the big commercial shorts, are in their full glory, and they don't care about, I don't think they care about getting caught anymore. They're just blatant about it. The lies and the manipulation have become not hidden anymore. They don't even deny it anymore. It's just so frickin' blatant in our faces, and that's exactly what's going on. I'll show you. You can see it in the graphs, and we've talked about this for years when they knock these markets down. When it starts to get out of control, they start to knock these markets down in what Ted Butler calls sausage slicing, which means they do it in the overnight weak markets. They do it during trading sessions that are really slow or low volume trading sessions. And again, take a look at last night with the gold prices. Knocked down in the overnight markets. Who the frick is selling? Who is selling gold that late at night? You got the London markets open. We know those markets are crooked anyway. But who is selling large amounts of gold? Especially, there's central banks out there are grabbing every piece of gold they can. All the central banks out there are buying as much gold as they possibly can, except for the United States. I think I think the thieves gave ours away, but no less, that's a whole different rabbit hole. But here's your sausage slicing. And if you just look at the charts, we're going to talk about charts, all right, in a little bit too, but that's really important because a lot of people rely on charts. There's people that believe that charts will tell them where the gold and silver price is. I don't know about other stocks and bonds, but can anyone show me any chartist out there in gold and silver that's been correct for the most part? You can. And I'll tell you why. Because charts are misused by people that read them to figure out what the markets are doing, and charts are used by the manipulators themselves as, again, when does gold and silver mostly get slammed? Well, it gets slammed during Fed speak. It gets slammed when the dollar strength goes up. And which makes no sense because the dollar is not going up in buying power. We see that. We look at that chart all the time that shows the dollar increasingly loses its value at purchasing power, okay? What the dollar index really is it's the dollar compared to the other turds, the Canadian dollar, the euro, and all that other stuff. It's like, again, the last horse of the glue factory. So the dollar strength is only indicates that that the dollar is doing better against the other turds in the basket that it's compared to, okay? Has nothing to do with the price of gold and silver going up or down. Yet, you see the prices getting hammered when dollar strength is on the high side. And it's usually in the overnight markets. And it's usually this kind of what you call salami slicing. I thoroughly believe that the big commercials use some kind of program trading that they use to slam these markets in the overnight markets like they do right here, because again, that's not organic real selling of gold. There's no large entities out there trying to sell gold into the weakest time of the evening when no one else out there is going to really cop a bid on it, right? The whole intent of these overnight lows and these chopped salami slices right here is to do nothing but drive the markets down. And they'll do it continuously again and again and again over the course of a week, maybe 2 times a week, maybe 3 times a week, maybe every night of the week, maybe on a Friday night, maybe on a Friday morning and then a Saturday night. But and it also changes when they do these salami slices, because you can see it happen during the daytime, like I said, after the Fed talks, which is really completely irrelevant to the price of gold. The dollar is in a spiral downward. The dollar is never going to buy more shit, ever. And again, that's what gold really reacts to. The less gold the dollar buys, the more gold. The gold maintains itself to at least the buying power it had, or increases in value, okay? And like I said, who is selling gold this late at night? Folks, it's just pure manipulation in the CRIMEX, the CME Group's COMEX gold and silver markets. You can look at the same thing in silver. Who the F is selling silver? Look, that right there. And is it a form of spoofing? It very possibly is. They've just found an easier way to do it, and we're going to talk about that in a moment too, spoofing and how these criminals knock these markets down like this. Again, that's basically what we've been seeing since gold's been making its sub $2,000 trend, and silver starting to make its sub $25 trend. This is pure spoofing, it may be, or whatever kind of shenanigans and bullshit that goes on in the crooked criminal CRIMEX markets. All right, take a look. Here you go. Let me do a quick refresh here. Again, I knew we'd probably see this coming into May as well. These criminals that use these algos tend to also use, I believe, seasonal trading patterns to do their dirty deeds as well. Again, nothing organic about these low prices. Nobody's selling frickin' gold, folks. This is pure paper bullshit in the COMEX, CRIMEX markets. Nobody's selling silver. In fact, silver's hard to fucking get. It's tough to get. But look, it's down in price. Again, why? Purely criminal stuff, folks. And platinum as well, platinum and unloved metal, still below that, still pretty good, not doing bad considering we were down in that 859 range. And silver's still doing well, but they're knocking it, folks. This is what they do. This is what these criminals do. But hey, listen, if you like to see that the glass is half full instead of half empty, what does this do? It provides you an opportunity to buy, a 5,000-year-old asset like gold on the cheap. And I wouldn't deal with their crooked paper markets, but it allows you to buy the real stuff on the cheap. And trust me, that's what you want to do, especially with silver, because there is not a lot of real available silver out there, okay? I think silver is going to, I think they broke the silver market. It's been broken for a little while, and they keep trying to knock it down, but they ain't going to fix it. They're just making it worse by making silver even that much rare. Let's get into the article that got me thinking about all this graph and stuff like this. It's on, give me a second, let me take a sip of coffee here. In fact, I'm going to yell over the counter. I've got to grab my French press. Hold on. That tells you I'm very unprofessional with this stuff, folks. I don't profess to be a professional YouTuber, and I don't want to be actually either. I like what I do for a living, but I also like making educational videos and making new friends. So it is fun. Debunking flawed gold price predictions. This is by Rebel Capitalist. I guess there's somebody that did a video. Okay, Gammon. I'm not sure who he is. Seems like a really nice guy, but I think the fatal flaw that Mr. Gammon is making here, and let me read this article. I'm not going to play the video here. If you want to, you can. The gold experts are totally wrong. Here's the proof. I watched part of the video here, read some of this. Got to admit, didn't watch the whole thing through, but really what I'm going to talk about is charts. Again, charts. What do charts show us? How are charts applicable when you're buying gold, silver, and platinum, especially gold and silver? And how should we look at them? Or how do I look at them? Let me give you my opinion about it, but first let me read this. Give me 1 second. Take a sip of that coffee I just poured. I like a French press, do my own beans, and water at the right temperature, and you can make yourself a nice cup of coffee. Don't need to go out and buy that garbage at Starbucks. About 150 days prior to recession. Okay, according to Gammon, historical data shows that about 150 days prior to recession, the price of gold starts to trend up. However, it also comes all the way back down until we get to the recession, where it starts to flatten out before going parabolic and peaking out. Usually about 116 days after the recession has already started. This means that knowing where we are in a recessionary cycle is crucial in predicting the direction of gold prices. And I agree with this somewhat, okay? Because I believe that the public does start to wake up when they start to lose trust in all different types of financial instruments and banks and stuff like that. And gold does seem to be the gold too. Remember, it's 5,000 years old. Even though people may not invest in it, and silver especially, silver's even less invested in, people understand gold. But here, let me move along here. Unfortunately, the central planners usually announce the official recession date after the fact, making it impossible to predict in real time. A chart also shows that if the green arrow represents where we are in a recessionary cycle, and recession happens in 2 or 3 months, prices are going up. Mr. Gammon's basically explaining that that the gold prices and silver prices are reacting to the financial times. Gold and silver prices are reacting to the recession. He uses charts to point that behavior out, okay? And, you know, and it's true to some degree, but not really. When it comes to gold, and again, I can't speak for other markets, but when it comes to the gold and silver markets, especially the silver market, let's just kind of push gold aside because gold is more of an international market. These big manipulators, these big commercials that manipulate the silver market, I mean thoroughly, they thoroughly manipulate silver market, don't have as much power in gold markets, again, because gold is owned by central banks. Gold is more global. Silver, not so much. Silver, again, very small marketplace. Prices are mostly, prices are primarily derived in the criminal COMEX markets, and that's where their own little play area is. So that's where they do their most manipulation. So if you take a look at charts, and I'm going to get into that, and again, that's what this gentleman talks about, is charts. Mr. Gammon explains that according to the charts, he believes that the gold prices and silver prices will go up after we've been in a recession, or before we go into a recession a certain amount of time. When in a recession, he thinks it's going to go down. And he believes that's because that's what the gold and silver markets organically do. But the problem is there's nothing organic, Mr. Gammon, about gold and silver markets. They're entirely, again, let me say silver markets more so. Gold markets are a little bit, less controlled by the big commercials because it's a hell of a lot more money to control gold. And again, central banks control gold. Governments control gold, not so much the commercial bankers. The biggest crime is committed in the silver market, and that's where you can't trust the data on the silver market. You can't trust the charts. What charts do tell us, okay? And I'm going to go over here. I want to show you this real quick, and I hope I haven't lost some of you. I like macro trend charts here because it also shows, it says inflation adjusted, but also shows recessions right here. These little shaded areas are recessions. And remember, back since, Ted Butler talks about it, and a lot of people talk about it, gold and silver markets, particularly silver markets, have been rigged for decades and decades and decades. You can go back to the 1970s, I believe, and where would that? That'd be about right here. Of course, that's when silver prices started to explode to the upside. That's when they lost control. They lost control of the gold and silver markets, more or less. The government did. And here's where I believe that the big commercials get back in control. Here. There's nothing, again, like I said, there's nothing organic about this. The proof is in the data. I think it's better to use these graphs and for gold and silver as a tool to show the timeline of the criminal behavior and the timeline of when, I'd like to use a silver 100-year historical chart, but it's almost the same as this. It shows you the timeline of criminal behavior, and it also shows you the timeline when they lost control. Here's where the COMEX, CME groups, gold banks lost control of the gold prices. Here, and here, all right? This is almost like looking at a crime scene again, going back and looking at a crime scene. Here is where the criminal commercial banks literally spoofed or manipulated gold prices back into the range where they needed them to be, here, and here. None of this downward behavior is organic selling. None of this is right here. All of this, 1980s, we could make some arguments that the Hunt brothers had manipulated the price of gold or silver by buying up all the silver stockpiles and sticking, and then asking for delivery in COMEX and almost breaking the banks and stuff like that for silver. But the most recent ones that we've had here through this area, well, there's the Hunt brothers right there. From this period on, this is just all bullshit behavior by the big collusive commercial banks. This is where the commercial banks started to lose control. And there's your recessions right there. So Mr. Gammon's assessment that the gold and silver prices usually go down or up before a recession. Well, here's your recessions. Gold goes up after the recession. Gold was going down up before the recession there, and you can apply the same thing to here. So I'm not quite sure what he's talking about there, but that's where, again, I think charts, you can't use charts to figure out where gold and silver go. Here, give me one second. I made myself a little note. It's better to use them as a timeline of the crime and a timeline of when they lost control of the price of gold and silver. And here's when they lost control, and again, there's where they gained the control back. I believe with the price of silver, and I don't have that silver chart up here, they're in the process of losing control again at the criminal Crimex CME Group's markets. They're crooked casino, and there's my there's my version of a crooked casino. It actually looks like a nice place. But what matters, folks, what really does matter is understanding how the game is rigged. Because once you understand how the game is rigged, you can play that game and win. Okay. We know that they rigged this game to the downside, but we also know that when it comes to gold and silver and platinum, that these markets are going to get broken, and that's exactly what they've done with the silver market. The silver market's completely broken, folks. There's no good reason why it should be going down like it is. Again, I sound like a broken record on this, but people aren't capitulating silver. There's huge amounts of people out there looking to buy silver. There's big delays in receiving certain types of products. My understanding is Ted Butler says that huge short position at SLV, and we talked about that in one of our recent videos, is nothing more than the person holding that short position inability to put real silver back into SLV. I mean, it gets deep here. Nobody is selling gold and silver and platinum right now. This game is absolutely rigged, but if you don't play, you can't win. And what other rigged game would you want to play in? Play in a rigged game where they rig it to the downside, where you can buy a product for super cheap. It sounds like it's more to your advantage if you play this game properly, and that's my opinion. And there's all different types of spoofing or manipulation that we talk about. The manipulation that JP Morgan has factually gotten caught for, you know, they're required to pay what is it? Here, what is it? A fine for $960 million to settle a class action suit. And where was it? I think they also had to pay a $915 million damages. But JP got caught spoofing these markets, folks, and they're one of the biggest players out there, and they're directly tied in with the Treasury Department. And you know, again, regulatory agencies don't do anything about this. The casino is rigged. But like I said, you can buy these products on the cheap. Man, I got to stop doing that because I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over. But I thought you might enjoy that little bit there. And meanwhile, let me talk about some products here, product prices. I forgot my sheet. There it is right there. It's behind me. Again, anyone that's got Silver Eagles out there, my suggestion is sell them Silver Eagles and 90% silver U.S. coin. Man, the trade factor is so good on this stuff. If you go trade, you find the right guy to trade with, you can trade your Silver Eagles for some enormous premiums and buy back 1 ounce, 10 ounce, kilo bars and 100 ounce bars. Buy more silver, or just do an even silver trade and put like thousands of dollars in your pocket if you have, if you have enough ounces. And it doesn't take that much. For example, I think right now, what is the premium on? There's like a $7,000 to $10,000 premium on silver bags. 90% constitutional silver on a $1,000 silver bag right now. It's just crazy. Whereas there's only here, I'm looking at 100 ounce bars right now. You can pick up 100 ounce bars for maybe spot plus $3 to $4 in quantity. So you can really put some money in your pocket or put extra silver in your pocket by doing this trade right now, trading Silver Eagles 90% for 1 ounce, 10 ounce, and 100 ounce bars. If you live in South Florida, come see me at Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals, and I'll show you how to do that. And we'll make you more money and keep the same amount of silver that you have, or we'll put more silver in your pocket doing this. Like I said, come by, we'll show you how to do this. What's the best deal out there in gold? all the gold prices are not too awful bad. Eagles are still readily available. I think they're spot plus 125 bucks or less. I believe buffaloes are about the same. Gold bars are like spot plus $73 or so. And again, this is in smaller quantities. In larger quantities, you can get them cheaper, and we sell them here as well. So I still recommend 1 ounce gold bars because, you know, for every gold bar you buy, you know, for every 1 ounce gold eagle that you buy, here that looks like a 10 ounce there. For every 1 ounce gold eagle you buy, you could buy a gold bar plus, hang on one second here, plus almost 2 ounces of silver. And I think that's a much better deal. So instead of buying a gold bar, you could buy one, I mean, instead of buying a gold eagle, you could buy one of these gold bars right here, plus 2 silver eagles for the same price you could buy a gold eagle for. I mean, 2 silver bars for the same price you could buy a gold eagle. Man, I'm getting tongue-tied today. I think, oh well. Listen, I'm going to call it quits and go into quits on the product side and quits on the talking about graphs and all the other stuff. And thank you guys for watching yesterday's video, which is Gold is Money. Hey, listen, I appreciate you guys hitting that thumbs up button. Also, the like and subscribe as well would be nice. And that little bell that tells you when my new videos come out. And not a lot of time to answer some of the questions here, but there's some good stuff here I'd like to, I'm going to read after the video here. And really, that's it, folks. I'm done. I hear people calling me too in the background. I hear my phone ringing off the hook. I got to run. You can catch me on Twitter, by the way. I'm getting more responses out here, and I probably can answer questions out here easier than I can answer them. Oh, I got to answer Millie Yellen Board's question right here, and I'm going to do that shortly. There we go. I'll do that after I finish the video. And also, if you don't catch me on YouTube, you can catch me on this format right here. We've got growing followers. I'm up a couple this week. But it's a great place to back up my videos. And again, you never know with YouTube what might happen, you know, if you say the wrong thing. Well, that's it again. If you live in South Florida, I said that's it enough time. That's a good drinking word. How many, take a drink every time I said that's it on this video, and you'd probably be drunk, but that's it. I'm going to call it quits. This is Brian Kuzma with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Open 10 to 4 Mondays through Fridays. If you live in South Florida, we're the place to come visit. We'll be at Mex, SDJ, and Bullion and the other locals on the good recognizable products at low premiums that they carry. And if you don't live in South Florida and you want to buy more than 100 ounces of gold and more than 1,500 ounces of silver, give us a call as well. We do shipping, traditional old style doing it. We don't have a website, but we can take your order over the phone, get bank wires, ship it through secured methods of shipping, so we can work with you. But if you're not buying more than 100 ounces of gold, not buying more than 1,500 ounces of silver, and you don't live in South Florida, please, folks, before you go to the online vendors, and there's nothing wrong with the big guys, check with your local dealer and try to keep that business local if you can. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye now.